Good evening. I'm Cole Hartman, and our sports ticker is brought to you by the 1890 Initiative. A big day for Husker hoops, as earlier this afternoon, Iowa transfer Aaron Eulis committed to the Big Red. The 6'3" junior point guard out of Chicago made his decision to the NU staff just days after an official visit to Lincoln. Eulis joins Bryce Williams and Rink Mast as Huskers found through the transfer portal this offseason. Two former Husker athletes got the call last Saturday in the 2023 NFL Draft. O'Shawn Mathis joined the Los Angeles Rams in the 6th round, 189th pick, and Trey Palmer, just 2 picks later, landed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Several other players ended up signing with pro teams last weekend, including Travis Vokalek with the Ravens, Garrett Nelson to the Dolphins, Caleb Tanner to the Jets, Brady Weiss with the Texans, and Oliver Martin to the Jaguars. In the NBA, 2 conference semifinal games go live tonight. The 76ers travel to Boston to take on the Celtics at 6:30 for Game 1. The Suns take on the Nuggets at 9 for Game 2. Denver holds a 1-0 lead on that series. Just one MLB game has gone final from earlier today. The Braves held on against the Mets 9-8. Those two teams are currently in the second game of their doubleheader, where New York leads 4-3 in the 8th. And later tonight, the Guardians match up with the Yankees, the Cubs visit the Nationals, the Blue Jays face off against the Red Sox, the Giants take on the Astros, the Reds battle the Padres, and the Phillies travel to LA to face the Dodgers. Our sports ticker is brought to you by the 1890 Initiative. Do you want to support Husker student athletes through name, image, and likeness? If so, visit 1890nebraska.com. Now get ready for a full 2 hours of Sports Nightly here on the Huskers Radio Network.
Coming to you live from Memorial Stadium, it's Sports Nightly. All the Huskers, all the time. Sports Nightly is presented by the NDOT Highway Safety Office, who reminds you to buckle up and put the phone down.
Heinrich, long count, turns, gives it off to Gabe Irvin, left side. Gabe stiff arms a man, is in the end zone for a touchdown off the left end.
Goodness.
That's a gold star stiff arm by 22 to find Pater. And the White extends their lead to 12-0. Sims by himself in the shotgun. Jeff gets the snap, got a quarterback draw, runs to the 5 and gets stood up and breaks a tackle into the end zone for a touchdown. There's the length and strength of Jeff Sims, breaking a tackle to 2. 1-1 here. Drill to left field. That one's out of here. Dylan Carey makes it back-to-back home runs for the Cornhuskers. They lead 2-0.
Here are your hosts, Greg Sharpe and Jessica Coody on the Huskers Radio Network.
We are back, another week of Sports Nightly. Hope you had a great weekend, and happy May Day to everybody. Did you go drop off May Day baskets when you were little?
No.
Didn't do that?
No.
Cole, did you do that? No. My kids did. They go, you fit a little kind of a care package. You go on a porch, you ring the doorbell, and you run. It's called May Day. Now Cole's in. He says he didn't do that.
No. I didn't. I feel like just recently in my life do I realize people make it such a big deal for May being here. You know, I was seeing all on TikTok. I know you're a big TikToker. With the NSYNC, it's going to be May. That was all going out yesterday. So
there's a significance to May Day that I don't know all the particulars about.
Yeah.
There's some kind of semblance to it. But
I'm just ready for the warm to be here and stay here. That's what normally May means.
I read today that we had an above average normal April for temperatures. I'm not sure I agree with that, but that's
There's no way.
The numbers say that we had more days above average high than below. So, man, there's been a lot that's happened since our Thursday show.
Really has been.
Let's start with the portal and the news that dropped Friday that Casey Thompson was leaving. My first reaction, Jessica, was not really shocked, disappointed, but not really shocked. What was yours?
Yeah, same. I mean, I think with Casey and having just 1 year of eligibility left, and this is it, and you're talking about he needs to get some more film if you're talking about maybe trying to sell yourself to play at the NFL level. Also, this is not the staff, the offense that he signed on to play for a year ago when he was in the portal. And I don't think it's anything by any means that, it's Jeff Sims' job. I think Matt Rule and company will fully go into the fall and had already planned to go into the fall. It's an open competition. I don't think they're ready to hand anybody a job yet, but, maybe him seeing how the spring unfolded, how he would maybe fit in this offense, maybe felt like maybe he could find a better fit. I think for me, maybe the more shocking transfer we knew that there was going to be a quarterback, probably two, enter the portal. I think for me, maybe more shocking was Logan Smothers, because I do think he's maybe more of a fit in this offense because of the way he can use his legs. And we saw that that's going to be a big part of this offense with what they've done with Jeff Sims. But I know for Casey, I have a personal connection with him because I work with his brother at Oklahoma, and he loves Nebraska, loves it so much. I know it was a really, really hard decision for him because of how much he loved it here. But I think just for him and trying to find the right fit for his very last year that he's going to play college football, maybe wanted to explore what those opportunities are still right now.
I don't get the sense that he's bitter
at
all with Matt Rural, the current staff. I think he just realizes they do something a little bit different than maybe what fits me to a T anyway.
Yeah, I think absolutely. And in fact, I think they'll be okay with me sharing this. He's a big fan of Jeff Sims and is rooting for him if Jeff is the guy, which at this point now I think he's going to be the clear favorite. And, said he's been a great teammate and has been a great addition to this Nebraska football program. So he said he's rooting for Jeff Sims. And I think more than anything, I don't think he by any means is scared of the competition. I mean, he stuck it out at Texas for 4 years when he was never guaranteed that opportunity there at Texas. And I think maybe wanting to find an offense that is a better fit for him is bottom line probably ultimately what led to the decision. But I know he loves it here. He loved his time here at Nebraska.
Well, and Jeff Sims was very complimentary of Casey during spring ball. Said he's a great teammate, great guy to be around. I've learned a lot about reading defenses from Casey. So I think Jeff really appreciated having Casey around. I do get the sense, Jessica, and maybe I'm full of it, and a lot of people tell me that I am, that if Logan, and he's testing the waters, if he doesn't get a big nibble, I think he could come back.
Well, and that's certainly the option for all of these guys in the portal.
True.
We've seen a couple guys here. I mean, Isaiah
Jamari
Garcia
Butler.
Castaneda was one. I mean, there's guys that entered, and you can always come back after you kind of – because you're not supposed to talk to these guys, and I know obviously that's happening, but technically you're not supposed to talk to them until your name is in the portal. But maybe you see what's out there. And I don't think it's an NIL deal at all either. I mean, but, kudos to this staff, because I don't think this was something that Casey considered until maybe having some conversations. And I'm not saying by any means I have no idea what those conversations looked like, sounded like, but I know that, we had talked about it last week that they were having conversations with some guys and being honest. And this staff is going to be honest. They've said that. I mean, Coach Rule has said that they're going to be honest with these players about where they stand, what could be, what it looks like for them, and what the opportunities look like. And so, maybe that was something, with the conversations that he had this past week. I have no idea what ultimately led to the decision, but, I think for him, my gut says that he probably wanted to find an offense that was going to throw it a little bit more. I mean, I know he was a big fan of the way that they threw it quite a bit last year under Mark Whipple.
And we wish Casey nothing but the best. And I think all Husker, much like kind of the Adrian departure, it's kind of like everybody was like, man, Adrian, you gave it your all for us. Good luck. And I think Adrian probably picked up some fans from people that admired what he did. So I think the same thing with Casey, doesn't have the history that Adrian had here, but similar type of things. We knew the defensive back room was really crowded. Jaleel Martin, who I think this staff even tried to maybe convert to wide receiver or look at him at wide receiver. Noah Pola Gates, they have both entered the transfer portal, but I think that room was a little overstuffed. I think they needed to get the numbers down a little bit in that room.
Absolutely. That was another room. There was a lot of bodies in there and a lot of talent and more talent coming in. There's some defensive backs that aren't even here yet that are coming in that I know they expect to be able to help. And so that was another spot. You expected guys to go in and, needed, if you're talking about trying to thin down some numbers, which again, I know people are still wanting to know about the numbers and what we need exactly to get there and all of that, and wanting some specifics on that. That will still continue to get worked out. You have some time still to figure out that specific number and talk to some guys about that, but figured that would be definitely a room that you could shave some scholarships off of because there's just so many bodies in that room.
Same thing probably with the running back room, and I saved A.J. Allen for last just because this one stings to me because I think we saw flashes last fall that A.J. could have a really big career. But I love that room. I love Gabe Irvin and Ramir Johnson And Anthony Grant certainly had almost a 1,000-yard rushing season. It was going to be hard, I think, for a guy like A.J. to get many carries next year.
I mean, it's going to be a competition, right? And I think even probably people were saying that about him last year. I mean, how is he going to get the carries? And then he competed. He's a very talented running back. But he was a late addition. He came in with Brian Applewhite, and some of these players are committed to coaches, and so when those coaches leave, maybe they're not as committed to the programs. And so, but yeah, it was a crowded room, and for guys that want to make sure that they're going to get their carries, they're going to get their touches, maybe look elsewhere. And he definitely. Jeremiah and I have been big fans of his from day one. I mean, that was the guy that stood out to me the very first time I went to practice last fall. I said, boy, that guy right there. I mean, I came back and told you that. I said,
yeah.
A.J. Allen's the guy.
Right.
And there were still talks that maybe he's going to redshirt. I'm like, they're not keeping that guy off the field. He really stood out to me in practices. I don't know necessarily. I know he was coming off an injury, so I don't know how full go he was completely the entire time during the spring. But, I think for him, for sure coming in, he was a guy that was kind of attached to Brian Applewhite, and we'll see where he ends up. But A.J. Allen is a very talented running back. He's a guy that could do a lot, and he was so young. He was just going to get his freshman year back, right? I mean, he had only played in the 4 games, and so he's still has the 4 years of eligibility. And so, yeah, to me, that one really hurt.
Stings.
Yeah,
it does. You're going. I was hoping that wouldn't happen. Not shocked.
But he was a guy from the start that we thought, we might lose him. So we were kind of surprised that he even stuck around through the spring. So, again, and I think that is what's so great about how everybody's approaching this situation is Matt Rule came in and said, if you want to see how this goes, and then we'll talk from there. But he gave everybody the opportunity. And so a lot of people stayed that, I'm kind of been shocked there haven't been more people in the portal.
Agree.
Because a lot of times when you see coaching changes at programs, you see just an influx of people in the portal. And there have not been a lot of guys that as many as I kind of expected. And so, he gave it a shot, and maybe, again, going to see where those opportunities lie. But I think for a lot of these players, the spring was a filling out period of how they're going to fit in this offense and this program.
The scholarship count shows 88, so we're still 3 over. But with NIL, you can shift some things around. Some guys could maybe, if they get a nice NIL deal, can surrender their scholarship, still be a part of the football team. So there's some of that can still happen. So it's not a worry. It really has never been a worry to me. I knew it would work itself out, and it's starting to do that. Huskers did pick up a walk-on addition today out of the portal. Those of you who follow the football in Omaha will remember Caden Becker, really good player at Scott. Was a quarterback, went out to Wyoming and kind of did a little bit of defensive end. I think he kind of feels like he could be a tight end H-back at Nebraska. So this is a really good athlete coming back. He's walking on, so don't put him onto your scholarship chart. But Caden Becker had a really good high school career coming back to the state to play for Matt Rural. I think that's a pretty good little get for that. So
and an athlete, that's what this staff goes for. And then you get them here and you find out where they fit, right? And so, you see the athletic ability and then think, okay, where can we can mold this guy into where we need him to be.
Exactly. We do know that we have a point guard for Fred Hoiberg's basketball team. Big news this afternoon that Aaron Eulis, who last year started most of the games for the Iowa Hawkeyes, was in town over the weekend and committed to Nebraska today. It's one of those missing parts. I think you and I said, point guard, big man. Well, they got Rink Mast out of Bradley, who puts up some pretty good numbers, and now they've got Eulis, who looks like the perfect fit to run this offense.
And a true point guard at that, which since I've been here, this team has not had. I mean, right. Sam Griesel was a point guard, but he's not a true point guard. I mean, he was converted into that and was a great point guard, but that's not his. He wasn't a true point guard coming in. He's more kind of attack the basket, and certainly Alonzo Verge was not a true point guard either. So to get a true point guard, and I know I read somewhere where he's really good off the ball screen, and that's critical to this offense, right? What I also like too is there's with all of these guys multiple years of eligibility left, but with Aaron, he's played in the Big Ten, so he understands the physicality of it,
no doubt,
the need to play good defense, and the ins and outs of what it takes to win in this league. Sometimes it can be hard when you're coming from, like, say, a Big 12 into the Big 10. It's a totally different style of play. And so to understand the Big Ten and what it is also huge. And at your point guard spot, and at a spot where that's typically a leader, right? And that's a spot where you're losing some leadership in Sam Griesel, and so got to expect him to be able to come and fill a lot of different roles. But to me, I think the biggest thing is just being that ball distributor, the guy that can run the show up there. That's just so critical at the college level. I mean, teams that have the really good point guards usually do pretty well.
So congrats to Fred Hoiberg, that staff. This was one of the missing pieces, and I think that they have filled that. For me, one more big, and I think they'll be close. That if Casey gives us the affirmative sign toward the end of the month that he's coming back, and I think he is. My gut says he's coming back.
I think he is too. I mean, he got a taste for it. He loves it here. I think he could use another year to really show what he can do. But I just, again, and can I go back to this, and we've talked about this off air, and this is one of the first shows that we did. We had talked about, 2 years ago, one of the things you'd like to change about the NCAA. I love the fact that college basketball players can enter the draft, enter their name, explore it, see what it looks like, the potential there, and come back. I wish they'd do that with college football.
Yeah.
Because I think you'd see a lot of guys that would go see kind of what they're hearing, and people are going to be honest with them, and then you can always come back. I wish they'd do that for more sports.
And Jessica, it's such a quick turnaround in football. By January 15th, so if you've played a New Year's Day bowl game, you have 2 weeks to decide, am I in or out? And then you can't come back. I'm totally with you.
Well, and I think you got a lot of agents, a lot of people that are probably not telling them completely honest.
Everybody's a first rounder.
Yeah.
Everybody's a 2-day
and
draft
do
guy.
this, and we'll get you here. But you don't know until you're hearing from the scouts. I mean, I would imagine probably Trey Palmer would have liked to have heard from some scouts. Because, going into it, everybody thought he was going to be a second rounder. He falls to the 6th round. But being able to have some conversations that people are going to be really honest with you, like, hey, this is what we're seeing with you. And then maybe that would help some guys that every year we see it, that probably should have stayed. I mean, defensive tackle Damian Daniels would have been a guy that probably, if he had some conversations, maybe would have come back. I wish that would change for college football.
Going to ask you real quick before we get to our break about the draft. I did hear some pretty critical comments toward Trey Palmer. Louis Riddick, who's one of the ESPN broadcasters, just said Trey's not a good route runner. He goes, he's got great speed, and he can beat you off the top. And he goes, NFL teams like somebody who can beat everybody off the top. And he goes, he's not a very good route runner. I think that's what cost him from being a 3rd rounder to a 6th. But now it's up to Trey. You can get better at route running. You can't go add speed. Either you got it or you don't. He's got it. So I think he can be taught that. I think he's got a chance to still have a nice career, and I'm happy for O'Shawn to get picked as well.
Absolutely. I mean, and some of the other guys that signed undrafted free agents deals, we were talking about this about JoJo last year. Look at JoJo. I mean, he had solidified his spot there up there at Indy. But, yeah, for Trey, I mean, again, can't coach speed, and he is a burner, and that's how many times it's just so hard to have find somebody that can match up with that kind of speed. He has elite speed, and so always can find a spot for that. And there were just so many. It was such a good wide receiver draft at that. There was just so many good wide receivers, and he really had only had 1 year of film and probably had some games that could have maybe stood out a little bit more, that maybe disappeared a little bit. What was the one game that comes to mind that he had a couple good big games and then he just did not?
Illinois.
And he had a couple big drops.
Remember, Casey didn't play a couple games, and that hurt Trey because Chuba or Logan just couldn't get him the ball where he was used to getting the football.
Yeah, I guess I'm just more so saying that, he didn't play as much at LSU, so he just had the 1 year.
Right.
And so it was probably hard, too, to evaluate how he is in game film just from that 1 year. A lot of times you want to have multiple years to be able to really evaluate that. But, yeah, I mean, just look, you got a spot, you got a chance now. Anything can happen from here.
Sure, go do it. And, Cole went through the list in the ticker. Garrett Nelson, I think teams are going to love his work ethic and his fight and all those type of things. Those are intangibles that will show up in practice. And I think he could duplicate in some ways JoJo. I don't think he's as good an athlete as JoJo was. I don't think his foot speed's quite as good as JoJo's was.
Yeah, and JoJo's so good on special teams. I mean, that's where he's kind of made a knack for himself, and because he is a fast guy. can get down the field, and that's a lot of times with punt teams. But, going back to Trey and a little bit, he's about where Samori Toure ended up. And look at Samori.
Yeah.
And I know Casey loved Trey. They got in there and they did some extra work together. So, just got to do what he did when he got here and establish himself. And a lot of it is building that connection with the quarterbacks. And I know Aaron Rodgers felt that connection with Samori from the start. So that's a big key to it, too, is just getting in there and developing those relationships with the quarterbacks.
On our text line, Doug in Norfolk says Garrett Nelson, I think, should have stayed another year. The fact that he didn't get drafted proves that. I don't know, Doug. I'm not sure the high-end talent of Garrett is enough to get drafted, but I think he can make a living by being a great teammate. I think he can do some things on special teams. I don't know that another year would have benefited Garrett that much. I just don't.
No, I don't think he's a guy that if he would have stayed, he would have gone in the first round by any means. I think for Garrett, he had been here a long time, and he had done. I think it just gets to a point you got to consider a redshirt year plus a COVID year. That's a long time for guys to be in college, and had done what he needed to do here, and it wasn't going to improve his draft stock drastically by staying another year.
One more text before we get to the break. Irvin Scouter says, are there fullbacks in the running backs room? Yes. Janiron Bonner is kind of an H-back, but he can play that fullback spot. In fact, he ran the fullback dive on the first play of the spring game. And Luke Lindemeyer, who was hurt for the spring game, he's also a fullback. So, yes, they do have fullbacks in that room. Bonner will be the guy because they just love all the different things that he can get done. All right, here's what we have on the program tonight. Mitch Sherman of the Athletics is going to join us. They have been putting together a project grading out how 3, 4, and 5 stars have fared recently in the NFL draft. We'll get his take on that. Is also his thoughts about the transfer portal and how it affects Husker football. Hour number 2, it's our baseball show with Will Bolt. That's coming up. The skipper will be here. The Huskers won their weekend series over Minnesota. Now getting ready for a midweek game with North Dakota State, and then a road trip to the number 1 team in the country in the league in the Maryland Terrapins. All that, and we want you to be a part of it at 402-413-2400. That is our Sports Nightly hotline, brought to you by Woodhouse, where you can shop your way from one of the 16 convenient locations or online at woodhouse.com anytime. They've got 18 brands, a huge selection of pre-owned that you can always find what you're looking for with Woodhouse. We're back with Mitch Sherman next.
Did I forget something?
No, just wanted to tell you I love you. Oh, don't forget to buckle up. Drive safe.
I will. Love you too.
Someone is counting on you to buckle up. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
It's time again for some Nebraska farm facts. For Nebraska soybean farmers, sustainability is a way of life. 97% of farms are family-owned, and 95% are participating in conservation programs and using sustainable practices. And they have significant sustainability goals by 2025. 10% more energy efficiency, 10% less land, and 25% less soil erosion. This message is brought to you by Nebraska soybean farmers, growing opportunity from the ground up.
In America, the future belongs to everyone. That's why we make trucks like Ford F-Series, America's best-selling trucks for 46 years straight and counting. Made for performance and capability. Made to play hard and work smart, on and off-road. That's because they're built Ford tough. So be future ready with Ford F-Series, based on 1977 to 2022 calendar year total sales.
Baseball season has arrived, and your local Cenex has all your favorite snacks and beverages for the game. So whether you're hitting the road for an away game, headed to Haymarket Park, or going to cheer on your favorite local team, make Cenex your destination for top quality fuel, your favorite snacks, and service from a local smile. Fuel your fandom at your local Cenex station. Husker Pride, powered locally at Cenex.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
When you're a fan, you wear your team's jersey on your back and your heart on your sleeve. After a win, your world glistens. Lose, and the hurt permeates your soul. you'll always have a place with us in the Cox Fan Zone, where everyone can play and connect with other fans in a big group hug. See, in the Fan Zone, you're not some crazy fan. You're home.
Hey, Husker fans, this is Greg Sharpe, voice of the Huskers. Say Fan Zone into your Contour voice remote to play. Not at home? Visit cox.com/fanzone. Go Huskers.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
More Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic care first. Studies show that chiropractic is safe, drug-free, and the most effective treatment option for back, neck, and joint pain. It can also help patients of all ages reduce migraines, improve mobility, and maximize athletic performance. Keep the entire family healthy and active with natural, cost-effective chiropractic care. Find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraska-chiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
From the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, I'm broadcasting student Grant Hansen with Campus News. University of Nebraska leadership has launched a $3 billion fundraising campaign to support education access for Nebraska students. The Only in Nebraska campaign, the largest in university history, will focus on creating scholarships to make education more affordable, attracting more Nebraska students, and keeping young people in the state after graduation.
It's more powerful than the legendary Husker option offense. More powerful than the black shirt defense. It's the sun, and you can harness its power with J-Tech Solar. J-Tech, the official solar energy experts of the Huskers, can help you shrink your energy bills and start saving money now. Solar power is clean, affordable, and it's dependable because the sun always shines on the Huskers. J-Tech Solar for your home, business, or agriculture energy needs. Visit jtechsolar.com.
You already got the hat, the jersey, maybe even the occasional red and white face paint. So kick things off right this season and add the FNBO Husker Visa debit card to the list. Pay loud and proud for every Husker decal, t-shirt, or hot dog at the game. Wear your heart on your sleeve and in your wallet with the Husker Visa debit card, free with any checking account from FNBO, the bank of Husker Nation. Get yours today at fnbo.com/Huskers. Member FDIC.
Welcome back inside our Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center. It is sponsored by Acres, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Acres solutions for every field. Delighted to be joined tonight by the Athletics' Mitch Sherman. Happy May Day to you. Have you had a May Day basket delivered to the Sherman household yet today, or is that still to come?
It's probably still to come. You know, some of the kids in our neighborhood, I think maybe are outgrowing that, but maybe there's a new generation that's ready to pick up for it. I haven't been home since this morning, so I'm expecting to get home before my kids make it back from school and eat the Starburst or whatever's waiting at my doorstep.
Very good. Well, we flipped the calendar to May. It kind of means spring footballs or sessions are over. The draft is over. Let's start with the draft. Any surprises from the Husker standpoint, or did it go kind of the way you thought it would over the 3-day draft?
Yeah, I thought Trey Palmer would go a little higher with that speed that he put on display at the combine and the season that he had at Nebraska. I thought maybe 4th round, could sneak into the 3rd round if there was a run on receivers. And interestingly, we didn't see that run on receivers. Now I'm moving ahead to Thursday night in the 1st round, and we were about 20 picks in, and I believe there hadn't been a receiver taken. And then there were like 4 in a row. So they go in bunches. In the NFL, receivers, it's always weird. I remember a few years ago when Stanley Morgan was in the draft, and everyone thought after his season at Nebraska that he was a surefire pick, and he didn't get selected. And he's been great with the Bengals and stuck around on that roster as a special teams guy and gets in offensively at times in a great system. So it can work out, but drafting receivers is maybe more puzzling, I think, than just about any other spot, or it's among the top. So it's unpredictable. But he went, and he's with the Bucs, so it's a good opportunity for Trey, a good opportunity for O'Shawn Mathis, who went 2 picks ahead of him. That's probably about where I thought he would go. And then, no, really not other surprises. You know, I figured the guys who got opportunities as free agents, that's the route they were going to go. So, you know, I was doing some work here today, looking at some Nebraska data from our 3-Star U project that The Athletic has been churning out content on in recent weeks, and you know, I looked specifically at how Nebraska fit into that, and you know, I knew that this was the case, but when you start looking at the names, just the number of Nebraska players over the last decade who have stuck as undrafted free agents, it's a lot of guys. You know, it's, you know, Nick Gates and Spencer Long, and well, Spencer Long was a draft pick, sorry, but Nick Gates and Lamar Jackson, and there's a big long list, and you know, I think Garrett Nelson, JoJo Doman is headed down that road. I think that Garrett Nelson is going to be the next in that group.
Mitch, just 2 Huskers drafted. I think there was 2 last year. Is there a correlation between the number of guys you're getting drafted and putting in the league that way to on-field success in the fall, or are they independent of each other?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of success. I mean, you just look at the teams that have players taken all over the draft. You look at Nebraska from the last time that it was competing for conference championships. You know, Nebraska's had 10 players selected in the last 6 drafts, I believe. Going back to 2018, there was 1 year where the Huskers were shut out, and that coincides with 6 consecutive losing seasons. The last time that Nebraska played for conference championships was 2009 and 2010 in the Big 12, and that, not coincidentally, is the exact time that Nebraska last had a first-round pick. 2010, after the 09 season, it was Ndamukong Suh. 2011, after the 10 season, it was Prince Amukamara. So, and there were 10 picks in those 2 seasons between those 2 years, which, you know, that's about a 6-year stretch right now. So, yeah, absolutely. There's a big, crossover. They relate directly to each other. The amount of talent that you're putting into the NFL draft, and your record on the field. Now, it's not hand in hand. You can't say that this is you know, it's apples versus apples. There's some other factors that go into it. I saw a stat this weekend that Northwestern had as many players drafted as USC. So it's not the end all be all, but it definitely matters a lot.
Getting busy with Mitch Sherman of The Athletic here on Sports Nightly. Well, the portal closed last night. I guess we could hear a name or two that still trickle through the process either later today or tomorrow. But how did the portal affect Nebraska? I think we knew Nebraska was going to have some guys enter because they're over the top of the 85 limit in scholarship. Were there surprises? Did the Casey Thompson decision surprise you? How did you view the last week for Husker football?
It surprised me a little bit, Casey, but not. I wasn't shocked by it. You can look around the country and, you know, go try to find programs that have 2 established quarterbacks with extensive starting experience, and it's few and far between, and that's the position that Nebraska would have been in if Casey Thompson had stayed. I think that, in a way, as we look back on it now, the writing was on the wall when Nebraska went in December and found Jeff Sims in the transfer portal. Casey could have stayed. He could have looked at this situation and saw that and determined that this was the best opportunity for him to win a job in August. But make no mistake, he's playing another year of college football because he intends to be a starting quarterback. And, you know, if he thinks that there's an opportunity out there in another conference or in the Big Ten to go and be the starter, and that opportunity is better than what it is at Nebraska, then, totally understand, you know, why he chose to make that decision. It puts Nebraska in a little bit of a bind because with Logan Smothers going in the portal too, you've got Sims, and you've got nobody really with extensive experience at Nebraska. Now Chubba Purdy's back, and Heinrich Harburg is back, and I think they've carved out a role for Heinrich in this offense, but the intention is not for him to be the guy taking every snap in every game. You know, it is now Jeff Sims' job. There is not a quarterback race when August begins, as there would have been if Casey Thompson had stayed. This is Jeff Sims' team. He's got the most important 2 legs, 2 knees, 2 shoulders in that program as of right now, as of last week. So keep him safe if you're Nebraska, and hope that he's everything that you thought he was when you went out and got him in the winter. The other one I would say that surprised me or opened my eyes was A.J. Allen. He was the most talented offensive true freshman on that roster last season, and in a short span before he was hurt, we really saw some good things from him. But I think this one comes down to a coaching change, and he felt comfortable with Brian Applewhite. He felt comfortable with Mickey Joseph, who brought him from the state of Louisiana as a high school player, and of course those guys are gone, and you have a new regime. I think that Matt Rule and E.J. Barthel and Marcus Satterfield, the coaches who were in charge of the offense and in charge of AJ's position, that they worked with him. They were there for him. They wanted to make it work. It was not a deal where he was by any means pushed away. Some guys get told this is your opportunity and it doesn't look great. I don't think that was the case necessarily with A.J. Allen at all. But he saw an opportunity potentially somewhere else, or expects to find an opportunity somewhere else. And really, I think it just comes down to fit and who recruited him and who's coaching him now.
Huskers are still, I think, Mitch, a couple of numbers over the top on 85. That still you could have some guys who retire from football or whatever and make their way on. Do you think they go into the portal and get some people out? Where are the needs? And then you're pretty locked into the Omaha football scene. How about Caden Becker coming back to Nebraska from Wyoming? What do you know about Caden?
Yeah, good player. He was a quarterback in the Metro Conference, was at Omaha Burke, up until the COVID season when they didn't play football in Omaha Public Schools. So he transferred to Scott Private School and played for Matt Sherman and Matt Verzel at Scott, a couple of familiar names to Nebraska fans from the 90s. And went to Wyoming as a quarterback. After a redshirt year, Caden switched to defensive end and then, playing for Craig Bowl. So lots of Nebraska names on his path through high school and college football, and determined that he wanted to leave Laramie after the spring ball here. So he's coming to Nebraska as kind of a hybrid offensive player. You could see him as a wildcat quarterback. You could see him as a fullback, tight end, kind of in the role that they have Jen Aaron Bonner, and what we saw with Bonner from the spring game. So kind of exciting, I think, to have a local guy he's coming back and playing that kind of new position within the offense, especially when there's a quarterback element to it potentially. He's 6'4", 240 pounds, 6'3", 6'4", 230, 40 pounds. So he's built like a linebacker. Not all that different than Heinrich Harburg, who is going to be a runner in this offense, obviously. So it's a good start, I would say, for Nebraska, and starting to add some pieces. I believe he'll fit as a walk-on, and then they'll go from there. I do think, yes, that Nebraska will look in the portal. Not necessarily that it feels like it has to take players from the portal, but there's room. If you're at 88 right now here on May 1st, that's not too big of a number to be able to try to find a player or two who might fit. If there's a lineman, you're always interested. And there's a few positions as you look around this roster, which I'll be doing this week with some stories on The Athletic, that the portal might look like an option, but it doesn't have to be. And they'll find a way certainly to get down to 85 by the start of August, and that's not an issue with where they're at right now.
Very good, Mitch. Always good to catch up. You mentioned. Tell us again more about the project that the Athletic is working on as you referenced earlier on in our conversation.
So a couple of our writers, Ari Wasserman, who covers recruiting nationally, Mitch Light, who has his hand in a lot of things for the Athletic, David Ubben, who's a name that's been around college football for a long time and does great work at the Athletic. Those three got together and analyzed every Power 5 program. This was out before the draft, about a week before the draft. It's called 3-Star U, and they looked at 3-star, 4-star, and 5-star players and how programs did in each of those categories at producing NFL draft picks. And it's really interesting. It's interesting to look at it from the Nebraska point of view, which I'm doing in a piece that comes out tomorrow. It's interesting to look at it with the Baylor point of view because of the work that Matt Rule did in all of those areas from 2017 to 2019 when he was with the Bears. So, and then, just to see the programs that do it the best. It's not surprising when you see the names at the top of those lists, but it's not just draft picks. It's what did you do with 3-star prospects? What did you do with 4-star prospects? that I think makes this stand out and is really interesting for readers.
Great. Can't wait to dig into that. Mitch, great stuff as always. We appreciate you coming on, and happy May Day to you and the Sherman the family.
Thanks. Same to you, Greg.
Mitch Sherman with us here on Sports Nightly. Time to tell you to buckle up, put the phone down. A reminder from the NDOT Highway Safety Office. More of the show coming up next.
They say consistency is the key to success. They weren't wrong. So how about grabbing a beer that's consistently smooth, consistently refreshing, and consistently light? You might just find that the road to success can be pretty enjoyable. Michelob Ultra, the perfect balance of taste and refreshment, and only 2.6 carbs and 95 calories. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Huskers, do you want a fulfilling career that's financially rewarding? Explore the many ways you can be a part of the insurance community. Go to iian.org/careers today. Business insurance is a lot to manage. Did you know a trusted choice independent insurance agent can help guide you through it at no extra cost to you? They'll do your insurance. You just do you. Find out more at trustedchoice.com.
From the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, I'm broadcasting student Ann Gallagher with Campus News. The only designated R1 research university in Nebraska, UNL's innovations power economic growth, precision ag production, tech breakthroughs, and future leaders in Nebraska. With the highest graduation rates and highest median earnings for recent grads of any public university in Nebraska, UNL is doing big things for our state.
In America, the future belongs to everyone. That's why we make trucks like Ford F-Series, America's best-selling trucks for 46 years straight and counting. Made for performance and capability. Made to play hard and work smart, on and off-road. That's because they're built Ford tough. So be future ready with Ford F-Series, based on 1977 to 2022 calendar year total sales.
To win the game, you got to have more strength. You got to be tougher. You got to be reliable. You got to want it more than the other guy. And you need a great team you can count on, backing you up the whole time. Whether it's in the field with your Massey Ferguson or on the field with the Huskers, red is the color of getting it done quicker, smarter, and efficiently. So this season, make sure you're checking out the lineup that'll get more done where and when it counts. From your Nebraska Massey Ferguson dealers.
Here's an easy pill to swallow. Right now, earn a 5-cent fuel saver on every prescription you fill at your Hy-Vee pharmacy. That's 5 cents off per gallon of gas for each prescription filled at Hy-Vee. Hy-Vee makes it easy to fill your prescriptions. Just call or stop by your local Hy-Vee pharmacy and let us handle the rest. You can also fill online or use the mobile app. Fill a prescription and start earning today. Some restrictions apply. See your pharmacy or Hy-Vee.com for details.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Celebrating 50 years in the commercial real estate development industry in Omaha and nationwide, Noddle Companies is proud to continue its tradition of supporting Husker athletics. Check out what's new in Omaha, which includes revolving recreation and the food hall at Zone 6 in Exarban Village. Another exciting project coming soon are the Blackstone Urban Row townhomes. Noddle Companies, creating long-term value through community development. For more information, visit noddlecompanies.com. Go Big Red.
SOS to the rescue! SOS to the rescue!
As the Huskers head to the seventh inning stretch, Frank is off the couch and headed for the fridge. Ooh, but he can't make it because he is so hot. The air conditioning is out again. SOS, he screams, and calls SOS Heating and Cooling, his favorite Luxair dealer trusted since 1950. With Luxair, you get a free 10-year labor warranty with a new system. Call or visit soshvac.com today.
SOS to the rescue! SOS! SOS!
When you're prepared for life, you get more out of life. When you're prepared, you spend less time worrying and more time doing the things you love. How prepared are you? When you're ready to find out, Emeritus is ready to help. First, we get to know you. Then we make a plan together, one that lets you enjoy today and prepare for tomorrow. That's what we call fulfilling life. Emeritus, insurance, employee benefits, financial services.
Dear gas prices, go take a hike. Toyota is the #1 retail brand for electrified vehicles for 22 years. The Toyota hybrid lineup brings efficiency with power, savings with style, and top-notch tech to keep you connected. Not to mention plush premium interiors and the most advanced Toyota safety features. So, now you know who you're talking to. Toyota, the #1 retail brand for electrified vehicles for 22 years. Toyota, the brand with a hybrid or electric vehicle for every driver. Toyota, the brand that helps save you money at the pump. Now, let me ask you a question, dear gas prices. You really think you can stand in the way of the #1 retail brand for electrified vehicles for 22 years? Think again. Toyota Hybrids. Find yours at toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Based on manufacturer estimate CY 2000 through 2021 sales.
It's more powerful than the legendary Husker option offense. More powerful than the black shirt defense. It's the sun, and you can harness its power with J-Tech Solar. J-Tech, the official solar energy experts of the Huskers, can help you shrink your energy bills and start saving money now. Solar power is clean, affordable, and it's dependable because the sun always shines on the Huskers. J-Tech Solar for your home, business, or agriculture energy needs. Visit jtechsolar.com.
We're back inside our Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center, sponsored by Acres. They are the Midwest premier John Deere dealer, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Acres solutions for every field. 402-413-2400, the number to dial us up with a comment or question, or if you want to fire off a text, we have time to do some of that. Take some of your thoughts about some of the weekend's headlines. Now time for us to see what's on tap, presented by Bud Light. Husker baseball back on the diamond Wednesday, not Tuesday, but Wednesday. North Dakota State will be at Haymarket Park. 6:05 first pitch will be on the air at 5:30 for pregame coverage. How about only 4 home games left for Husker baseball? The North Dakota State game and then the 3 with Penn State. Not this weekend, but next weekend. So only 4 more chances to see the guys play out at Haymarket Park. So keep that in mind. Husker softball, they have 3 home games left, and they're coming up this weekend. Ohio State will come. That will be the final of the regular season, final weekend of the regular season, and 5:30 pregame coverage, 5:30 first pitch on Friday for Husker softball against the Buckeyes, 5:15 for pregame coverage for the Huskers. So that's the final 3 games, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then they have their league tournament starts next week at Illinois. It starts on a Wednesday. Huskers should get one of the byes. Top 4 teams get byes. Right now, Nebraska in 4th place in the softball standings. They should get a bye, not have to play till Thursday, but one more weekend to see Husker softball out at Bowdoin Stadium. The folks in the chat room are talking about selling out Memorial Stadium for Husker volleyball. And by the way, on a programming note, John Baylor. Yeah, John Baylor, the voice of Husker volleyball, going to be here tomorrow night. Yeah, I know he's everybody's favorite, but look forward to that. The chat room, they're talking about, an Oklahoma coach talked about moving an event into their stadium, and they're not talking about volleyball at Oklahoma. They're talking about moving their softball, trying to get a softball game maybe into their Memorial Stadium. They're so good about, they're national champions in softball. So their softball coach came out over the weekend and said, hey, I saw Nebraska did this for volleyball. All right. She goes, well, I'm calling my athletic director, see if we can move one of our softball games inside of our football stadium and try to better their record. So we'll see. You'll see a lot of creative minds start to turn after seeing what Nebraska did for the volleyball game coming up in late August, as they'll take on UNO, and then you'll have UNK and Wayne State playing as well. 402-413-2400, the number to dial us up with a comment or question in our What's on Tap segment, again brought to you by Bud Light. We're back to wrap up tonight's first hour next.
Husker fans, this is Matt Davison with the 1890 Initiative. You've probably heard about NIL, name, image, and likeness, and now you can have an immediate impact on the success of our programs. The 1890 Initiative is a proud NIL company in Nebraska, and with your help, we can maximize our student athletes' opportunities with NIL and prepare them for life after college. Nebraska has always been a leader in college athletics. Let's do the same with NIL. To learn more, visit 1890nebraska.com, where 100% of your donation goes directly to Husker student athletes. That's 1890nebraska.com.
Here's an easy pill to swallow. Right now, earn a 5-cent fuel saver on every prescription you fill at your Hy-Vee pharmacy. That's 5 cents off per gallon of gas for each prescription filled at Hy-Vee. Hy-Vee makes it easy to fill your prescriptions. Just call or stop by your local Hy-Vee pharmacy and let us handle the rest. You can also fill online or use the mobile app. Fill a prescription and start earning today. Some restrictions apply. See your pharmacy or Hy-Vee.com for details.
Want to get all the latest Husker news straight to your phone? Need to be the first of your friends to get the scoop on all things Huskers? Sign up for text alerts from Nebraska Athletics. Text Huskers to 83200 to get game time notifications and updates, breaking news, special ticket offers, and more straight to your phone. All the Husker news is just a quick text away. Just text Huskers to 83200. Standard text messaging rates apply and may vary by carrier. Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
There is no place like Nebraska, and there is no place that treats you like your home like Sapp Brothers. For over 50 years, Sapp Brothers has fueled America's heartland and has been a reliable partner to local farms, businesses, and Huskers fans across Nebraska, providing the highest quality fuel, lubricants, and propane, servicing your farming equipment, and welcoming guests into our travel centers. Visit www.sappbros.net. Sapp Brothers is proud to be an official partner of Huskers Athletics.
You already got the hat, the jersey, maybe even the occasional red and white face paint. So kick things off right this season and add the FNBO Husker Visa debit card to the list. Pay loud and proud for every Husker decal, t-shirt, or hot dog at the game. Wear your heart on your sleeve and in your wallet with the Husker Visa debit card, free with any checking account from FNBO, the bank of Husker Nation. Get yours today at fnbo.com/Huskers. Member FDIC.
Back inside our Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center, sponsored by Acres. Final few minutes of our hour 1, hour 2. It's our baseball show. Head coach Will Bolt will be talking about the Huskers' victory over the weekend over the Gophers and getting ready for a road series at Maryland coming up this weekend. The Terps in first place. Man, I love tonight. We got a Game 7 in the NHL tonight. The Rangers and the Devils. That's a big rivalry back around New York City. They're going to drop the puck in about 10 minutes. That'll be fun to watch. Game 7s in the NHL playoffs. Not a lot of gets better than that. It's really cool. You also have some Game 1s in the NBA next round. You got the Sixers and the Celtics. The NBA second round is going to be really interesting because you got some great old-time rivalries like Philadelphia and Boston, like the Lakers and the Warriors. That gets going tomorrow night with LeBron taking on Steph Curry. So there's some really good matchups in the NBA playoffs. But again, you got a Game 7 tonight in the NHL first round with the Rangers and the Devils. Again, tomorrow night, John Bader will be here. We'll also put some life back into the old Big Ten Blitz. We're going to take a little tour starting tomorrow around the conference over the next couple weeks and check in on spring football practices at all the different stops in the conference. Tomorrow night, we'll focus on Minnesota. That's the Huskers' opening game of the year. We'll also check in at Michigan, who comes here in late September, and Northwestern. That'll be an early October visit for the Huskers. All that coming your way tomorrow night. First Interstate Bank, built for you. Learn more at www.firstinterstatebank.com. Member FDIC. Thanks to Mitch Sherman for spending some time with us from The Athletic. Boy, they put up a lot of great articles throughout the Athletic family. If you're not subscribing, you might want to think about it. It's a pretty good publication. Next hour, we'll talk baseball with the head coach. Come on back.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
When you're prepared for life, you get more out of life. When you're prepared, you spend less time worrying and more time doing the things you love. How prepared are you? When you're ready to find out, Emeritus is ready to help. First, we get to know you. Then we make a plan together, one that lets you enjoy today and prepare for tomorrow. That's what we call fulfilling life. Emeritus, insurance, employee benefits, financial services.
At Nebraska, our people will always be our greatest asset. Day by day, donors give our teams the best opportunity to compete and win through their generous donations. Our vision for the future is ambitious and requires help from those who want to see Husker athletics excel at the highest level. Go big and join thousands of other Huskers Athletic Fund members with your gift today at huskers.com/donate.
At CHI Health Clinic, we believe healthcare should be personal because knowing your provider personally makes appointments more comfortable, more productive, and more meaningful to your overall health. Get matched with a primary care provider based on your personality and lifestyle using CHI Health Clinic's My Provider Match. Take the survey at myprovidermatch.com to find the right provider for you. Getting healthier starts by getting personal at CHI Health Clinic.
The 3-2 to Swanson. Gabe swings and drills one in the air to center. Backing up is Kaplan. He's to the track. He's to the wall. It is gone. It's a 3-run shot for Swanson. His second homer of the day.
Hey Husker fans, tune in Wednesday with Greg Sharpe and Ben McLaughlin as Nebraska baseball matches up with North Dakota State. Pre-game coverage begins at 5:30 p.m. on the Huskers Radio Network. Tune in to your local affiliates or at Huskers.com or by using the Huskers mobile app. Go Big Red.
This is the Husker Baseball Show on the Huskers Radio Network with head coach Will Bolt. Presented by your Midwest Ford dealers. Visit buyfordnow.com.
First pitch to Josh. Breaking ball hammered to left. That is absolutely crushed. Way out of here over the hitting facility in left field. Utagawa's 0-1 pitch. Matthews swings and hits one hard in the air to left. Is it high enough? You bet it is. It's a homer for Matthews. Solo shot into left, and it's 7-3 Nebraska.
The 0-2 from Perry. Swing and a miss. Kyle Perry has faced 3 and struck out 3. So the fifth-year senior dealing. 1-1 to Calarco. The pitch. Hot shot to third. Nice pick by Carey to second for 1. On to first. In time. Double play. Slick. Fielding play by Dylan Carey at third base.
Here's the 3-2 to Swanson. Gabe swings and drills one in the air to center. Backing up is Kaplan. He's to the track. He's to the wall. It is gone. It's a 3-run shot for Swanson. His second homer of the day. And Nebraska's lead swells yet again to 18-1.
Here is your host, Greg Sharpe, on the Huskers Radio Network.
Thank you. It is our weekly chat with the head coach, the Cornhuskers, for the next hour. If you want to be a part of it, 402-413-2400. That's the number to dot us up with a comment, a question, or fire off the text. Huskers coming off of a weekend series victory over the Gophers. And I know you probably think more about the game you didn't win than the 2 you won, but it was a pretty dominating weekend when you add the 3 games together.
Yeah, it was basically one bad inning that cost us a game. You know, we're the 5-4 lead in the ninth and give up a 5 spot and come back and score, a couple of runs there with a chance to tie it or win it with one big swing. But yeah, it was a good series win, and it was great to see our guys bounce back. I mean, just scuffling a little bit, at that point in time. And to show up Saturday and play the game the way that we played Saturday, really proud of our team, putting up 18 runs, throwing a shutout, seeing Jace Kaminska back on the horse and throwing really well, and the guys responding. I mean, the way the wind was blowing, it's hard to imagine getting a shutout in those conditions. So hats off to our pitching staff for that. And then for us to go on Sunday, and, that game was a little lopsided in the final score, but it took a big inning there in the fourth for us to separate ourselves, and really good finish to the week.
You mentioned Jace, but you get 19 innings out of your starters this weekend. Man, that is impressive.
Yeah, and it didn't look like it was going to go that way for Emmett early on. I mean, we were chasing runs again on that Friday game, and that was what was. To me, I thought even though in the loss on Friday we were still very competitive. I mean, Emmett didn't have his best stuff, but he competed hard to keep it at 4. Could have gotten away from him there. He allowed us to climb back in the game and ultimately take the lead. And we, throughout the course of this season, we've kind of not gotten to that point where we had been falling behind early and scrapped to get all the way back and take the lead. So really good job by him, and that allowed us to only use 2 guys, basically, well 3 I guess on Friday, Buns in a short stint, but being able to keep those bullpen guys fresh over the course of the weekend definitely meant that the starters did their job.
And I know there's been concern with Jace to the Saturday start. You gave him a weekend off. He wasn't overly effective in Iowa City, but boy, he was kind of the bulldog that we'd seen for the first month on Saturday.
He was, and he threw more changeups in that outing than he's thrown all year. And it's been a pretty good pitch for him. It's just a matter of him having the conviction to throw it. And it's just having 3 different pitches that the hitters have to think about and worry about. You really could see his fastball be a little bit better. And the fastball command was what we had seen probably the first 5 weeks of the year for him. That's what it looked like on Saturday. Was he was throwing fastball to both sides of the plate, keeping it down in the zone. He wasn't missing up. He only threw up for effect when he wanted to. So yeah, it was good to see him back out there and do that. We're going to need that from him the next 3 weeks.
And give us your evaluation of Will Walsh then on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, we TBA'd Sunday, not knowing quite what we were going to do there. We thought that was a good matchup. Seeing them kind of struggle with the changeup from Jace and some of those things. So felt like it was a good matchup there. Will did a nice job. Didn't start off, a 2-out hit and then a bunt base hit. And then he got a 3-pitch punch out right behind that, which was really, really big. And made some big pitches in the first 2 innings, which allowed us to score first, then which allowed us to stretch the lead.
Yeah, I mentioned when he exited the game, I go, well, it's going to show that he gave up 3 runs. But he didn't give them up till the 6th inning.
Yeah.
Those 5 zeros are huge.
Yeah, huge. I mean, like I said, we're playing from ahead in that game. Allowed us to score that 8-run inning. At that point in time, he's just, he's throwing strikes. They're swinging, and, had a couple of, I think it was a home run that maybe scored the runs there at the end, but threw well.
One just got over the wall.
Yeah, one of those that just kind of snuck out.
Yeah. But he certainly competed well for it. He's a pretty competitive guy, and you could see a little fire for him on the mound on Sunday. I'm sure he was anxious to get out there and try to put a good start together.
He was, and he's been pretty consistent for us. I mean, he's walked very few guys this year, save the last outing in Iowa City. We had 3 walks. I think 3 of his 7 walks were in that one outing. So he's been pretty consistent for us, and really, really helped us out and winning a couple of series there on Sundays.
Dorothy Lynch, home style, light and lean dressing, endless flavorabilities. All right, in the YouTube chat room, they want to know if you can update. What can you update about Creighton, finishing the game that got halted a few weeks ago due to lightning here? I know we're set to play them next Tuesday back up in Omaha.
Yeah, I don't know if we have the details completely ironed out as far as start time for the first game. I think we have a pretty good idea of what we're going to do, so we'll go finish that game there. The game that was scheduled as a 7 p.m. start, and I believe it's a TV game, so that'll have to stay there. So my guess is we'll probably start that game around 5 o'clock, somewhere around there, and then that'll be a hard start at 7 o'clock. I would imagine we'll keep it there, for the TV purposes. So we'll go and kind of go through a normal pregame situation as if it's a full game that we're going to play. Pick it up in the 7th inning, bases loaded, nobody out, Gabe Swanson at the plate. We're the home team because we were playing at home when the lightning came. So we'll finish that game, and then we'll turn right around and play right after that.
Very good. So that's what we know now. Stay tuned. We should have some details as we move later through the week. Also in the chat room, they want to know, somebody said Bryce was safe on that steal. Can we get more cameras set up at Haymarket Park? You've got quite a few. You've got probably the most of anybody in the league. I mean, for the replay, and they did get something overturned. I think it was a play at first base that Coach Marcuso told you to challenge. So we're pretty well set up here. A lot of places we go aren't, though.
I don't believe we've had replay at any other conference site.
No.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember having it. I'm not sure that Maryland will have it, although I know they did have it in their regional last year that they hosted. So not sure on that one. Yes, that is the plan, is for us to continue to have more, hopefully by 2024, have more camera angles. It also depends on if it's a TV game or not. So if the game's on BTN or if it's a TV broadcast, there's typically more camera angles there because there's just more cameras and more manpower. So that's the plan, is for us to eventually have full replay where you can slow it down and you have the different angles necessary to try to get every call right.
John in Omaha on our text line said, Coach, it's almost a cliche. Hitting is contagious, but boy, it sure seems to be. How do you explain that? Go Big Red.
Well, I'll explain it like it is. I mean, like you said, it's a cliche, but it's true. And it's just part of baseball. It's been a big part of baseball as anything in the last 100 years that they've been playing it. It's true. Hitting's contagious, and it's just, you see one guy, square a ball up, and then you walk to the plate just with a little bit more confidence that you're going to do it, and then the next guy feels like he's going to do it. And he sees a ball fly out of the ballpark, then he feels like he's got a chance to leave the park. So it's just, and it is an individual sport. Baseball is, because you're taking each at bat one by one, but ultimately the guys feed off each other, and it goes the same way on the mound. It can be the same way defensively, where you can see some errors and clusters as well. It's just kind of the way that the game is, and I think that's true of just about every team everywhere.
Minnesota came in with a really good fielding percentage, and Ben and I got into this discussion the other day. When you are a team that is your home field is field turf or artificial turf, and if you go then play at Haymarket Park where it's grass and dirt, is that maybe an advantage for a team that plays on dirt and grass to play on that?
Yeah.
Easier to go the other way than that way.
I think so. I do. And I remember, when we played at Buck Belzer, we had the turf, and we would go somewhere that had natural surface. Certainly, we have a great surface.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a professional surface. And back in the day in the Big 12, a lot of the schools did not have great surfaces that had grass and dirt. I remember it was tough. It was tough going from one to the other. So that may play into it a little bit. You don't really get the bad hops on the turf. And depending on what kind of turf it is, it could be much slower. Michigan had a much slower turf.
They did.
Minnesota's got a pretty quick surface, if I remember right, from last year. It's really matted down. So, I think it is a bit of an adjustment. There's only a handful of schools that have grass and dirt in our conference. I think, and we also hit a lot of hard balls hard off the bat, so that's the other thing that goes into it too, is that, you're not talking about a bunch of 85, 90 mile an hour ground balls. I mean, some of these ground balls that you're making mistakes on are 102, 104 miles an hour. So, we've got some strong physical guys that sometimes we're the beneficiary of some mistakes on the other team's defense because we hit the ball hard.
Well, Ben poo-pooed my thought for the reason you just said, that this is not a normal grass infield. This is a pristine one that you're playing. It's almost like a professional field.
It is. There's still an adjustment, though.
Yeah.
There really is, from dirt to grass.
Art in Los Angeles on our text line said, please congratulate the coach on already winning more games than all of last season. I really love this team, Coach. You're doing a great job. The future is very bright. Art in Los Angeles.
Yeah, thank you. No, it's been a fun team to coach, and there's certainly been some really high points of the season. I mean, I think we've won all but 2 weekend series over the course of the season, so we've been very consistent that way, and been just as kind of frustratingly inconsistent in the midweek, which has been a bit of a head scratcher for me and for our coaching staff, and maybe for some of our players too. But yeah, it's been a fun season so far. We got obviously a big week ahead of us this week with the Wednesday game, and then going to the conference leaders in Maryland. But I still feel like, our goals are there in front of us. And, I still feel like that even though we've had a nice season up to this point, we can play better, and the goals are there if we go play the brand of baseball that I think this team's capable of playing.
Jeff in Omaha on our text line, Coach, does the recruiting class that you signed in November include a full-time first baseman?
There are a couple of guys in there that I think are candidates to play first base. It's difficult for a high school kid to come in and play first base right away. I mean, that's just kind of the reality of it. With the way things are now, it's a lot easier to find corner guys through the JC ranks and through the portal. There are a couple guys in that mix that could potentially play first base.
You have some back, too.
We got some guys back as well that they're playing first base this year. So, I think you're always looking for, power-hitting guys that can play on the corners.
I mean, Will Walsh and Ben Columbus played quite a bit there for you.
Yep.
All right, 402-413-2400. That's the number to dot us up with a comment or question. That's our Sports Nightly hotline, brought to you by Woodhouse, where you can shop your way from one of the 16 convenient locations or online at woodhouse.com anytime. They've got 18 brands and a huge selection of pre-owned that you can always find what you are looking for. Back with more with the coach coming up next.
There is no place like Nebraska, and there is no place that treats you like your home like Sap Brothers. For over 50 years, Sap Brothers has fueled America's heartland and has been a reliable partner to local farms, businesses, and Huskers fans across Nebraska, providing the highest quality fuel, lubricants, and propane, servicing your farming equipment, and welcoming guests into our travel centers. Visit www.sapbros.net. Sap Brothers is proud to be an official partner of Huskers Athletics.
The Nebraska Lottery has given over $900 million back to our state since 1993. It's gone to improve our environment, education, and state fair.
Over $900 million? That's something.
I'll say.
Hey, I have a great idea for a commercial. Have someone count to 900 million out loud.
That would take 28 years. Not a good idea.
I don't know, with a little background music and some sound effects.
There's another studio down the hall. Why don't you get started?
The Nebraska Lottery. 30 years of building a better Nebraska.
The 3-2 to Swanson. Gabe swings and drills one in the air to center. Backing up is Kaplan. He's to the track. He's to the wall. It is gone. It's a 3-run shot for Swanson. His second homer of the day.
Hey Husker fans, tune in Wednesday with Greg Sharpe and Ben McLaughlin as Nebraska baseball matches up with North Dakota State. Pre-game coverage begins at 5:30 p.m. on the Huskers Radio Network. Tune in to your local affiliates or at Huskers.com or by using the Huskers mobile app. Go Big Red.
Baseball season has arrived, and your local Cenex has all your favorite snacks and beverages for the game. So whether you're hitting the road for an away game, headed to Haymarket Park, or going to cheer on your favorite local team, make Cenex your destination for top quality fuel, your favorite snacks, and service from a local smile. Fuel your fandom at your local Cenex station. Husker Pride, powered locally at Cenex.
Here's an easy pill to swallow. Right now, earn a 5-cent fuel saver on every prescription you fill at your Hy-Vee pharmacy. That's 5 cents off per gallon of gas for each prescription filled at Hy-Vee. Hy-Vee makes it easy to fill your prescriptions. Just call or stop by your local Hy-Vee pharmacy and let us handle the rest. You can also fill online or use the mobile app. Fill a prescription and start earning today. Some restrictions apply. See your pharmacy or Hy-Vee.com for details.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
To win the game, you got to have more strength. You got to be tougher. You got to be reliable. You got to want it more than the other guy. And you need a great team you can count on, backing you up the whole time. Whether it's in the field with your Massey Ferguson or on the field with the Huskers, red is the color of getting it done quicker, smarter, and efficiently. So this season, make sure you're checking out the lineup that'll get more done where and when it counts. From your Nebraska Massey Ferguson dealers.
Hello, tomorrow. We may not know exactly what you've got in store for us, for our routines and our normals. But here's the thing. Turns out, we've got this. We haven't seen everything, but we have seen ourselves be more ready for whatever you bring than we thought we would be. So when it comes to tomorrow, bring on the day. First Interstate, built for you. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender. Visit us at firstinterstate.com.
Get ready again for some Nebraska farm facts. When there's work to be done, Nebraska soybeans are on the job in many of your everyday products. In fact, Nebraska soybeans are hard at work in Goodyear tires, Ford cars and trucks, Skechers shoes, asphalt, fuels, lubricants, name brand paints and stains, and more. Soybeans are an innovative replacement for petroleum, leading to more sustainable products all over the world. This message is brought to you by Nebraska soybean farmers, growing opportunity from the ground up.
Husker fans, this is Matt Davison with the 1890 Initiative. You've probably heard about NIL, name, image, and likeness, and now you can have an immediate impact on the success of our programs. The 1890 Initiative is a proud NIL company in Nebraska, and with your help, we can maximize our student athletes' opportunities with NIL and prepare them for life after college. Nebraska has always been a leader in college athletics. Let's do the same with NIL. To learn more, visit 1890nebraska.com, where 100% of your donation goes directly to Husker student athletes. That's 1890nebraska.com.
SOS to the rescue! SOS to the rescue!
As the Huskers head to halftime, Frank is off the couch and headed for the fridge. Ooh, but he can't make it because he is so hot. The air conditioner is out again. SOS, he screams and calls SOS Heating and Cooling, his favorite Luxair dealer trusted since 1950. With Luxair, you get a free 10-year labor warranty with a new system. SOS Heating and Cooling.
SOS to the rescue! SOS! SOS!
From the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, I'm sports media student Connor Clark with Campus News. More than $145 million in gross revenue has been generated by startup companies founded by alumni of UNL's Angler Agribusiness Entrepreneurship Program since the program began in 2010. With over 230 Angler Program alumni growing businesses across Nebraska, the Angler Program is making a big impact on the lives of students, alumni, and Nebraskans.
We're back inside our Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center, which is sponsored by Acres, the Midwest's premier John Deere dealer, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Acres solutions for every field. 402-413-2400, the number to dial us up with a comment or question. Interesting week no Tuesday game, but a Wednesday game. Is that because of North Dakota State's travel more than what we kind of wanted to do?
Yeah, I think so. There was an anomaly there in the scheduling, and I can't say that I have really looked into that. I think it was maybe their travel for the weekend, either
Unless
coming
they go
or
to
going,
ORU or something.
Yeah, so that's just the way it played out this week, and that was the day that they were able to play. So that's what we're doing.
Ideally, you'd probably rather go Tuesday, right, or not?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say so. I'd say you'd probably rather play Tuesday. Wednesday probably becomes maybe a little bit more of a staff day because you're one day closer, to the weekend, so you don't have the couple of days off that you might normally have if you extend some of your relievers. So maybe you'll see some guys in some shorter stints on Wednesday.
Coach Trev on his monthly show last week got a question about the netting that goes down beyond the dugouts. And Crypto King in our chat room wants to get your thoughts about how the dugout protective fence and netting has this been a good idea for baseball?
Oh, the netting that we have up, is definitely a good idea. I think there was just a couple balls that go to the berm too, at times that are coming off really, really hot, and it always makes me nervous. Having young kids and knowing, sometimes those guys are running around, out there, and so I definitely think that the netting is a good thing, especially we're pretty tight right there behind the dugout, so I'm glad they're covered now.
Well, yeah, the seating is really good for seeing, and I think some people are like, oh, it obstructs my view. But, boy, I think the safety part of it was needed.
Yeah, I agree.
For the sport. All right, 402-413-2400, the number to dot us up with a comment or question. Let's go to the phones. We'll go down to Kansas. Tom, you're up first tonight. Good evening.
Hey, good evening, Sharpie. Good
night, buddy.
Or good evening, Coach.
Hey, Tom.
Hey, congratulations on a win this weekend.
Appreciate it.
My question for you, Coach, is now that we know that probably we're not going to get an at-large bid, does your strategy during the week change a little bit just for the fact that we know even more now how important it is to win these conference games to get a good seed in the tournament and then make a good run there?
I would say maybe just in terms of maybe some of the pitching decisions on the midweek. Our goal is still to win every game that we play, though. I mean, I think it's important, to go out there and feel confident about what you're doing and have a level of focus that you need to have to win the game. Maybe a touch just with extending maybe some of our relievers, and particularly this week, like I said, because it is a Wednesday game and we got to turn around and play on Friday. There's definitely going to be maybe a little bit different handling of some of the guys, and even potentially who we decide to start, as far as limiting how much they throw. But, as far as the lineup and those kind of things, I mean, we're going to play our best team, our best lineup that we think gives us the best chance to win on those days, and really just try to string together as many wins as possible. I mean, I think it's just that's the way you got to do it. That's the way we're always going to do it. And I want our team to have a level of focus that's required day in and day out to give ourselves that opportunity. Number one, because you still have an opportunity if you go on a hot streak to win the regular season of the Big Ten, which would give you an opportunity maybe to not have to win the tournament. I mean, you never say never. So I just think in order to do that, you've got to have a level of focus that it's going to take and play a certain way that when you do get into the tournament, that you've already kind of had that feeling of how every game is kind of a do or die game. So probably not going to change our maybe we need to change a couple things up so we can be better on those Tuesdays and Wednesdays. I know for certain we need to be better. So we're going to keep trying to win those games 100%. But yeah, maybe from a pitching side of it, just not extending some of those guys when it comes down to it. Maybe that will play into it a little bit.
All right, well, go get them Wednesday and go take care of them Terps this weekend. We'll be rooting loud for you, Coach.
All right,
go
Tom.
Big Red.
Appreciate you always. Appreciate it.
Thanks for the phone call. You only have 2 and a smidge left. You have the North Dakota State, the Creighton regular schedule, and the finish. You don't have a lot of those left anyway.
That's right.
Going forward. Text question, Coach, what was your message after the South Dakota State game to the team?
I guess just the message is that disappointed in the focus. I thought we were, we had the rough weekend at Iowa, and then we bounced back and beat Omaha at their place, and very competitive game. I mean, I thought we competed hard for 9 innings, and then fall behind early in that South Dakota State game, and just offensively we're a much better team than what we showed. I mean, it was just a lack of focus. It was a lack of focus defensively, I felt like at times. It was disappointing. I mean, it was just, and there's been a few too many of those, during the midweeks. Like I said, I mean, we've been as consistent as you could possibly want on the weekends for the most part. And in the midweeks, we've been as maddeningly inconsistent as you could be at times. So it was frustration, definitely. And I know the players, they're trying to win, but it just takes a level of focus to stay locked in, for each and every game, including the Wednesday games when maybe you think it's not as important. It is. It's important to show up and play a certain way. And my message is that our focus has got to be better. It's got to be about the team. It's got to be about baseball. And sometimes we let our focus wane, and it's come back to bite us.
The 1890 initiative helping Husker student-athletes navigate name, image, and likeness. To learn more or donate, visit 1890nebraska.com. Brandon in Omaha on our text line. Coach, I was watching Maryland in Minnesota earlier in the season. How has Maryland matured over the year? How do we feel like we match up with them for the weekend?
Maryland's a good team. I mean, they've got a dynamic lineup. They've got some good pitching. They've just got really good athletes on their team, and high-end draft pick type guys. So I think they got off to a little bit of a slow start, but part of that was they played a tough schedule as well. And they didn't have a great weekend that weekend in the Dome, but they've really taken care of their midweeks pretty well. They've scored a ton of runs in their midweek games. They're obviously off to a really good start in conference. So early part of the season, maybe their star players weren't swinging the bat quite as well as they are now. So they've gotten going with those guys. They're just a very, very well-rounded team. They had a lot of guys returning from last year's team that they had or hosted a regional. We're going to have our hands full this weekend. But I like our team. I think we match up well, and never been to Maryland before. I've never seen their ballpark in person. I know the ball flies there, I think, from what I hear, and it's a good hitter's ballpark. So
rumors that it's 365 to dead center. Just a rumor.
Well, we're going to take. I know Coach Marcuzzo we were laughing about it today. He's going to take his rangefinder, and we're going to stand at home plate on Thursday night and see how far it is.
There you go. Folks, it's time now for the Husker Baseball Trivia Contest, brought to you by the Nebraska Lottery. Your chance to receive $100 in scratch tickets from the Nebraska Lottery. We limit it to one winner per household during the season. And we want you to text us your answer, 402-413-2400. Husker scored 36 runs over the weekend series against Minnesota. That's the second most in a Big Ten series for Nebraska baseball. I had 35 against Northwestern a couple of weeks ago, so 36 for the weekend. The record is 39. Who did that come against? You can name the team. You'll be a winner. First one to text it in, 402-413-2400. We will make you a winner. We'll have the answer when we come back.
From the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, I'm broadcasting student Grant Hansen with Campus News. As worldwide leaders in ag technology, UNL faculty and students innovate using emerging technologies to improve yields and nutrition, and designing wireless in-field networks increasing precision in agriculture. Plus, UNL is breaking ground on a $7.2 million feedlot innovation center near Meade. UNL is doing big things for the future of agriculture.
When you're prepared for life, you get more out of life. When you're prepared, you spend less time worrying and more time doing the things you love. How prepared are you? When you're ready to find out, Emeritus is ready to help. First, we get to know you. Then we make a plan together, one that lets you enjoy today and prepare for tomorrow. That's what we call fulfilling life. Emeritus, insurance, employee benefits, financial services.
Husker fans, this is Matt Davison with the 1890 Initiative. You've probably heard about NIL, name, image, and likeness, and now you can have an immediate impact on the success of our programs. The 1890 Initiative is a proud NIL company in Nebraska, and with your help, we can maximize our student athletes' opportunities with NIL and prepare them for life after college. Nebraska has always been a leader in college athletics. Let's do the same with NIL. To learn more, visit 1890nebraska.com, where 100% of your donation goes directly to Husker student athletes. That's 1890nebraska.com.
Baseball season has arrived, and your local Cenex has all your favorite snacks and beverages for the game. So whether you're hitting the road for an away game, headed to Haymarket Park, or going to cheer on your favorite local team, make Cenex your destination for top quality fuel, your favorite snacks, and service from a local smile. Fuel your fandom at your local Cenex station. Husker Pride, powered locally at Cenex.
Here's an easy pill to swallow. Right now, earn a 5-cent fuel saver on every prescription you fill at your Hy-Vee pharmacy. That's 5 cents off per gallon of gas for each prescription filled at Hy-Vee. Hy-Vee makes it easy to fill your prescriptions. Just call or stop by your local Hy-Vee pharmacy and let us handle the rest. You can also fill online or use the mobile app. Fill a prescription and start earning today. Some restrictions apply. See your pharmacy or Hy-Vee.com for details.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Dear gas prices, go take a hike. Toyota is the #1 retail brand for electrified vehicles for 22 years. The Toyota hybrid lineup brings efficiency with power, savings with style, and top-notch tech to keep you connected. Not to mention plush premium interiors and the most advanced Toyota safety features. So, now you know who you're talking to. Toyota, the #1 retail brand for electrified vehicles for 22 years. Toyota, the brand with a hybrid or electric vehicle for every driver. Toyota, the brand that helps save you money at the pump. Now, let me ask you a question, dear gas prices. You really think you can stand in the way of the #1 retail brand for electrified vehicles for 22 years? Think again. Toyota Hybrids. Find yours at Toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
Based on manufacturer estimated CY 2000 through 2021 sales.
SOS to the rescue! SOS to the rescue!
As the Huskers head to halftime, Frank is off the couch and headed for the fridge. Ooh, but he can't make it because he is so hot. The air conditioner is out again. SOS, he screams and calls SOS Heating and Cooling, his favorite Luxair dealer trusted since 1950. With Luxair, you get a free 10-year labor warranty with a new system. SOS Heating and Cooling.
SOS to the rescue! SOS! SOS!
When you're prepared for life, you get more out of life. When you're prepared, you spend less time worrying and more time doing the things you love. How prepared are you? When you're ready to find out, Emeritus is ready to help. First, we get to know you. Then we make a plan together, one that lets you enjoy today and prepare for tomorrow. That's what we call fulfilling life. Emeritus, insurance, employee benefits, financial services.
It's more powerful than the legendary Husker option offense. More powerful than the black shirt defense. It's the sun, and you can harness its power with J-Tech Solar. J-Tech, the official solar energy experts of the Huskers, can help you shrink your energy bills and start saving money now. Solar power is clean, affordable, and it's dependable because the sun always shines on the Huskers. J-Tech Solar for your home, business, or agriculture energy needs. Visit jtechsolar.com.
Celebrating 50 years in the commercial real estate development industry in Omaha and nationwide, Noddle Companies is proud to continue its tradition of supporting Husker athletics. Check out what's new in Omaha, which includes revolving recreation and the food hall at Zone 6 in Exarban Village. Another exciting project coming soon are the Blackstone Urban Row townhomes. Noddle Companies, creating long-term value through community development. For more information, visit noddlecompanies.com. Go Big Red.
Welcome back. It's our Nebraska Baseball Show. Head coach Will Bolt here till the top of the hour. If you want to be a part of the program, 402-413-2400. You can call or fire off a text. We did ask you a trivia question going into the break. The Huskers scored 36 runs this weekend against Minnesota, second most in a 3-game Big Ten series. The most was 39. Who did it and who was it against? It was against the Purdue Boilermakers in 2019. Gus in Lincoln knew the right answer. In fact, for bonus points, Gus knew what year it was. So 2019, year before you got here, but you remember going back and watching some of that.
Yeah, I do. There were some guys that had some big weekends and looked like a little bit like it was for the Northwestern weekend where we scored a bunch of runs, and this past weekend where it was just kind of that win from the northwest where the ball's flying out to center and right center field. So, yeah, I remember watching some of those games. I actually think I caught one of them on BTN, and definitely went back and watched some of the videos, seeing some of the guys that were on our team.
The Nebraska Lottery has raised over $923 million, which has helped to provide more than 150,000 college scholarships, save wildlife habitats across the state, and fund new facilities at the Nebraska State Fair. The Nebraska Lottery helping to build a better Nebraska. Huskers off until Wednesday. North Dakota State will be here on Wednesday night, and then the Huskers off to Maryland to take on the Terrapins for the weekend. You got Josh Caron. Looks like his bat kind of came alive a little bit this weekend. That had to be good to see.
Yeah, it was, and he had a couple of multi-hit games there, had a home run. Had some balls that he hit hard to right center. I think maybe that was earlier in the week as well. So he's a guy that's important to our lineup. Again, maybe just getting him off his feet for a couple of games in the midweek helped him be rejuvenated for the weekend. And, yeah, we're definitely good to see from him. Down the stretch, be great to get him back to where he was at the beginning of the season, just giving us good at-bats because he hasn't struck out much. And he's taken his walks and gotten on base. It's just a matter of, him kind of consistently barreling balls up, and he's had some bad luck as well in there. So good to see him get back on it, and definitely lengthens our lineup when guys like him are going.
He did not catch either of the midweek games. Ben Columbus did, and Ben and I talked about Ben Columbus quite a bit over the weekend. Really like him. It seems like he can do a lot of things. He's got good knowledge of the strike zone, doesn't swing at bad pitches. Hasn't hit one out, but I think he's got some pop in that bat.
He does. I'm a little surprised that he hasn't hit for a little bit more extra base hit power. Saw some of that from him in the fall and then in the spring. Yeah, like you said, though, he has a good understanding of the strike zone, high on base guy, takes his walks. Thing I like about him when he's in the lineup, the line just kind of typically keeps moving because he very rarely has weak early outs where he just puts the ball in play early in the count. And then that kind of messes up the next guy's at bat. Like he typically beats on the pitcher with a pitch count and has a lot of 3-2 counts and, can execute the offense. And I think he's done a tremendous job back behind the plate. And at first base, too, he's been a really good defender for a guy that hasn't played a ton over there. I think he's got really good feel around the bag and does a nice job.
He has taken that position. I don't know that has he played much in the past.
He did some in JUCO and maybe some in high school, but he caught, I think, just about every single game for his junior college team his sophomore year. I want to say his freshman year he played a little bit over there because he was dealing with a bit of a shoulder issue. But again, yeah, he's just a guy, and you watch him in BP sometimes. Well, he'll go take ground balls at short or third or second. It really looks pretty good, honestly, for a guy who's a catcher by trade. Just a baseball player, Ben Columbus is.
Casey Burnham, coach, had a busy Sunday. He was flying all over the outfield. Seemed like every ball was going to center. He's running from left center to right center. He was really busy, but he has been extremely solid for you.
The wind was it was so hard to predict. It was kind of swirling when it got up there, so some balls would take off and go to the wall, and then other balls would die, and some balls that started over in left field would blow back to center, and it was just he had a couple balls he came in for, a couple balls he had to go back for, balls that were right at him. I mean, those are tough days to play center field, just not knowing exactly which way the wind is going to blow, but he's made some big plays for us defensively.
That was a nice addition for you guys to get him over the summer.
It was, and he's the highest character young man that you could possibly want on your team, and shown a lot of toughness, really good base runner, high on base percentage. He's gotten some really big hits for our team, had some really competitive at-bats for us, and I think he's gotten better and better as the year's gone along.
When you And you're going to do it again here in probably 6 weeks. The portal's going to open back up. You're going to go back out there and try to fill some needs and that type of thing. And you may have some guys who decide to go elsewhere as well. I mean, it works both ways. Where do you start? Do you start with reaching out and getting background checks on guys, or do you maybe you remembered them from recruiting them in high school and they didn't come here out of? Where do you start with all that?
Yeah, it's there's not really an exact answer to that until you see the names kind of go across the ticker, as we like to call it. I mean, it's one after another. I mean, it's thousands upon thousands of kids. Unfortunately, a lot of them don't find a home, and they certainly don't find what they consider an upgrade potentially at their next home either. So, I mean, you start to see the names, and you get the video, you see the stats, and then you maybe talk to their coach, and maybe their summer coach, maybe it's their high school coach that you talk to, or maybe some of our players have played against them, or played with them. So you just try to cover all the bases when it comes to those things. And it's one of those things we've definitely learned from it. Didn't feel like we did enough to upgrade our roster a couple of years ago with the portal. Felt like we really did that this year. Fine line there, though, between developing the players in your program and going and getting older guys. Think you need to have an older roster now. I think that's definitely part of it. And like you said, some of those guys are maybe guys that you missed out on out of high school that, come back around and you were a finalist for, and they say, hey, really liked, really in hindsight, wish I'd have come to Nebraska. So we've run into some of that too.
It's easier. Like Fred Hoiberg today, he knew he needed a point guard. He went and got a point guard. For you, and you probably have to assess this when it's over, but you're always looking for pitching. Never can have enough pitching. But then probably depending on who you think might go in the draft, that type of thing, maybe you need a first baseman, as one of the texts came there earlier. So all that probably falls into place once you kind of see what you're going to have.
It does, and it falls into place after you have your meetings with your guys, and you kind of see where your rosters kind of shakes out to be. And, it's harder and harder these days to just kind of stand totally pat with what you have, because you feel like you can constantly upgrade if you want. But again, it's got to be the right fit. It's got to be the right player. It's got to be the right need for your roster. And you also got to take into account, we only have 11.7 scholarships to deal with. And so some guys are looking for bigger scholarships than they maybe had at the school before. There's a lot of variables that go into it.
First Interstate Bank, built for you. Learn more at www.firstinterstatebank.com. Member FDIC. We started the hour talking about the great starting pitching you got over the weekend. I want to bring up two guys that look like they took major steps forward last week. Drew Christo, what he did Tuesday night, and then I thought in last two or three appearances, Brett Sears has been much better for you.
Yeah, two right-handers that have emerged for us, and we didn't see either one of them over the weekend. And part of that was because the starting pitching was so good, as you alluded to. And we went with some guys that have kind of had more of the higher leverage, outings typically on the weekends, but. And also Drew threw 66 pitches on Tuesday, and Brett threw 50-plus pitches on Wednesday. Right. So they were, Drew would have been somewhat full strength on Saturday, but maybe for a shorter stint. Really wanted to save those guys for Sunday, just in case we needed them. But yeah, Drew was awesome. I mean, he was probably the main reason we won that Tuesday game. Very, very competitive. Stuff was really good. Throwing a lot of strikes, throwing a breaking ball for a strike. And then Sears, like you said, I mean, he gave up a couple of runs there at the end of his outing. Hadn't really extended that far up to that point, so maybe we left him in just a little bit longer than we needed to. But, having the 5-game week maybe kind of forced our hand that way. But, those two guys are going to be big for us. We need them to continue to keep coming, because we need some of those right-handed pitchers. Because both those guys, when they're right, are going to be 92, 94, touching maybe even better than that. With fastball command, they can get ahead, and then they can go to their secondary stuff.
402-413-2400, the number to dot us up with a comment or question or fire off a text. That's our Sports Nightly hotline, brought to you by Woodhouse, where you can shop your way from one of the 16 convenient locations or online at woodhouse.com anytime. They've got 18 brands, a huge selection of pre-owned. You can always find what you are looking for with Woodhouse. Take our final break. Back with some final thoughts from the coach next.
Want to get all the latest Husker news straight to your phone? Need to be the first of your friends to get the scoop on all things Huskers? Sign up for text alerts from Nebraska Athletics. Text Huskers to 83200 to get game time notifications and updates, breaking news, special ticket offers, and more straight to your phone. All the Husker news is just a quick text away. Just text Huskers to 83200. Standard text messaging rates apply and may vary by carrier.
More Nebraskans are choosing chiropractic care first. Studies show that chiropractic is safe, drug-free, and the most effective treatment option for back, neck, and joint pain. It can also help patients of all ages reduce migraines, improve mobility, and maximize athletic performance. Keep the entire family healthy and active with natural, cost-effective chiropractic care. Find a chiropractic physician near you at nebraska-chiropractic.org. Get your life back with chiropractic.
That's my neighbor, Joe. Hey, Joe.
Hey, John.
Joe's about to make a very big mistake. Hey, Joe, you think it might be a good idea to call 811 to have your underground utilities marked before you start digging?
John, that's just for big projects.
Actually, it's for any digging project. Hey, congratulations, Joe. You found your electric line. Remember, safe digging always begins with a free call to 811. You want to borrow my phone, buddy?
Brought to you by Nebraska 811.
When you're prepared for life, you get more out of life. When you're prepared, you spend less time worrying and more time doing the things you love. How prepared are you? When you're ready to find out, Emeritus is ready to help. First, we get to know you. Then we make a plan together, one that lets you enjoy today and prepare for tomorrow. That's what we call fulfilling life. Emeritus, insurance, employee benefits, financial services.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
When you're a fan, you wear your team's jersey on your back and your heart on your sleeve. After a win, your world glistens. Lose, and the hurt permeates your soul. You'll always have a place with us in the Cox Fan Zone, where everyone can play and connect with other fans in a big group hug. See, in the Fan Zone, you're not some crazy fan. You're home.
Hey, Husker fans, this is Greg Sharpe, voice of the Huskers. Say Fan Zone into your Contour voice remote to play. Not at home? Visit cox.com/fanzone. Go Huskers. To win the game, you got to have more strength. You got to be tougher. You got to be reliable. You got to want it more than the other guy. And you need a great team you can count on, backing you up the whole time. Whether it's in the field with your Massey Ferguson or on the field with the Huskers, red is the color of getting it done quicker, smarter, and efficiently. So this season, make sure you're checking out the lineup that'll get more done where and when it counts. From your Nebraska Massey Ferguson dealers. Back inside our Huskers Radio Network Broadcast Center, sponsored by Acres, the Midwest premier John Deere dealer, supplying the equipment and service to advance agriculture and much more. Acres solutions for every field. Greg Sharpe with the head baseball coach, Will Bolt. A few more minutes left of the program. 402-413-2400, the number to dot us up with a comment or question. North Dakota State, we saw them about a month ago, I guess. They've had a decent year, and they've got some decent players on that team.
Yeah, they do. They played at the. We talked about this a little bit before we played them last time, but man, their front of their season schedule is grueling. I mean, they don't play any home games. They played a really, really tough schedule as far as, went down and played UT down in Texas. They played Texas State. I think they bunch of tough teams early in the season. So I believe they're in second place in the Summit League, if I'm not mistaken. They've got some guys that can really, really swing the bat. I thought the starting pitcher that we saw against them last time was really good, did a nice job. Low 90s fastball, good fastball command. And we had a big swing from Bryce Matthews that, was the difference in that game.
Yeah, so it should be competitive Wednesday night out at Haymarket Park. Let's start in Lincoln. Dave, you're up next with the coach. Good evening.
Yeah, Sharpie, I wanted to ask you a question. You probably had it a million times. The game on Friday night was on Nebraska Public Television, and they were 2.5 pitches ahead of your call. I don't know if anything can be done about that.
Yeah, that's, we've had people in all of our sports ask about that. It's just, we have to put it out as close to real time as we can. Television bounces their satellite up and down a little bit more, but mean, if you have a DVR, maybe you can pause the picture or pause us on the Husker app on your phone and get it timed up that way. I know some people have done that, so you might give that a try.
Okay. Who people have done it. Who is there? Somebody down there that I could call? I don't know how to do it.
Yeah, you might just try to call back on this number during business hours. Maybe our engineer Mike Elliott might be able to help you.
Okay, because it's really bad, and I like to listen to it and watch it on TV. But
I appreciate that.
I had to shut the radio off because it was getting pretty bad.
Yeah. They appreciate it. Thanks for the phone call. Let's head from Lincoln out to Lexington. John, you're up next with Coach Bolt.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Great, John. How are you?
Good. Love your team. Love you.
Appreciate
the question I have is it seems like we have a lot of speed on the team, and I don't hear so much hit and run and so many steals. Is there a reason that we're not running like we used to?
Well, yeah. Maybe they're just some of the game situations have dictated that at times. Bryce Matthews he's got 17 stolen bases now, so looking for a guy to have 20 for the first time in quite some time. So that's good. And Cole Evans has stolen some bags. And Casey hasn't probably run as much as I think he probably could. Part of that is hammy was a little tighter early in the season. He played through that. Part of it is he's hitting in front of Max Anderson, so you want to kind of pick your spots there at times with him, especially with Max with the amount of power he's hitting with this year. So some of those things play into it. And then the typical lineup that we have, Garrett Anglem is a guy that can steal some bases. He's been dealing with a hamstring injury all year, so there's just some different factors that go into play. And then we've certainly had some of these games where the wind is howling out, so maybe you're just a little more hesitant to try to steal a bag and get thrown out and take off the chance. Again, we're a team that's hit 70-plus home runs this year, so a little bit bigger part of our game this year with a home run than maybe years past where we felt like we had to try to get some runs via the stolen base and maybe the base hit a little bit more often.
Thanks, Coach, and let's go get the Turtles.
Let's do it. Thanks, John.
John, appreciate the phone call. Yeah, I mean, the way the ball's flying out and the way your team is hitting it, it's hard to want to try to risk a hit and run if you got a big bopper in the lineup like you've got. Yeah, and when we've had the hit and runs, we've had some success with it in some games and done that. But yeah, there's times where our lineup is just there are 2 or 3 guys that can run, and then there's quite a few guys in there that are more in there for their bat. So a little bit of like I said, Garrett Anglem can run, but he just hasn't been full strength for most of the year. And then, like I said, Bernie hit in front of Max for a lot of the year too. It just makes it a little more difficult to think about stealing. Fun one to end it with. Terry in our text line. Coach, where did the second base dance start? I love it. So I think she's talking about the guys after they get a hit.
Yeah, so I think the one you're referring to now, it kind of started in our warm-ups with our strength coach, Bryce Sieco. He was using that to kind of get them loosened up one day. I think it was a day that. So we typically go lift on the road on Friday mornings if we're traveling. We go to the weight room or at the school that we're at. This particular day, I think we just had kind of light calisthenics and stretching in the hotel because the weight room wasn't available or the timing didn't work out. So that was kind of part of their warm-up, and they kind of laughed at it and thought it was funny. So that's kind of where that came from as far as I understand, and it's a good way to kind of keep it light and get the guys fired up.
Very good. Appreciate you coming in. Let's go get the Bison on Wednesday.
Let's do it.
Huskers in North Dakota State. It is a 6:05 first pitch. Our pregame coverage on a Wednesday begins at 5:30, and then it's off to Maryland for a conference series. 5:30 first pitch on Friday, 5 o'clock for pregame coverage. Thanks to Cole Hartman for steering the ship for us tonight. Back with a full show headed your way tomorrow night. Good night.
Hit us up on the text line. Text 402-413-2400 with your Husker thoughts.
Farmers can make what seems impossible reality with a little hard work and ingenuity. They find solutions to reduce inputs and improve their yield. Valley Irrigation is no different. As the leader in irrigation technology, we deliver results and optimize your operation. Because when you have a vision for the future, you need the people that can make it possible by your side. Expect what's next. Expect what's possible from Valley. Visit us at valleyirrigation.com.
From the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, I'm broadcasting student Ann Gallagher with Campus News. UNL is the only Big Ten university in Nebraska, part of the only conference with an academic alliance. Being in the Big Ten means superior academics, unique student opportunities, better resources, and world-class research programs. With 72% of undergraduate students receiving scholarships or financial aid, UNL offers a Big Ten education at great value.
When you're a fan, you wear your team's jersey on your back and your heart on your sleeve. After a win, your world glistens. Lose, and the hurt permeates your soul. You'll always have a place with us in the Cox Fan Zone, where everyone can play and connect with other fans in a big group hug. See, in the Fan Zone, you're not some crazy fan. You're home.
Hey, Husker fans, this is Greg Sharpe, voice of the Huskers. Say Fan Zone into your Contour voice remote to play. Not at home? Visit cox.com/fanzone. Go Huskers.
Pickup truck, sports car, motorcycle, minivan, townhouse, two-story, farmhouse, fixer-upper. What you drive and where you live is different for everyone, so it's important to have insurance that fits your needs and is just right for you. At Shelter Insurance, we understand that, which is why our agents help you design a comprehensive auto, home, and life insurance plan. Insurance that fits just right.